Hello, I am Jan from Prague, the Czech Republic. Currently I'm here in the beautiful mountains of Moravia. And here on the tripod is Canon R50 V, which is a tool for people like me, content creators who need something small which can be easily packed and taken to the mountains or another interesting places. So I'll have a couple of days to test it and we'll see what to expect. Let's do it now. What you'll see in this video. First, we will review the key technical specifications, then we will try out a really useful mobile remote control app. We'll also test the microphones and the stabilization during complex scenes. Then we'll dive into the depths of setup, including shooting to log, and of course we'll examine sample videos and dozens of photos to get a sense of what to expect from the Canon R50 V. First, I suggest we sum up the key technical specifications. Well, if you are a photographer, at the first glance, you'll notice that something is missing. Yes, of course, there is no viewfinder, but we have counted with that. But what is not here is the traditional dial with all those photography settings. So yes, so of course, the Canon R50 V is really video-oriented, but you can still get a really great photos, and it's definitely not only video thing. The sensor has 24 megapixels and there was a new lens introduced with that body, which is Canon RFS 14 to 30 millimeters. Yes, it could be a bit longer on the long side, but it is still quite reasonable lens and I was quite satisfied with that. We already mentioned that there is no viewfinder and frankly I really missed it quite often, but at the same time I really loved what you can see here, which is a Canon's application and it's really handy. You can see some examples how it works. I just put the camera on a tripod and just disappeared into beautiful mountains, and it does indeed works great. I have to say that I had no issues with connection. It does not require a Wi-Fi net and there are really many options you can control directly from the app. We are playing with video mostly at that stage, but at the same time, of course, you are able to turn on the still photography mode and have the same level of control like I have here. Now I am trying to show you the quality of the sound recording. As you have noticed, or might have noticed, when I was welcoming you to this video in the mountains, I had an external microphone with the wind screen, because it was a very windy weather and you wouldn't really like the sound. So now you are listening to the sound, to the audio which is recorded directly by the camera, and even if I move and you can hear that there is the stereo effect in it. So if you hear it, you will have some idea what to expect. Now let's turn our attention to stabilization. You can either turn it off or you have the default option, which is here, or you can use something the Canon calls enhanced stabilization. And let's use that beautiful dog called Amber, and that footage is without any stabilization. But now we can test the enhanced version of the stabilization and suddenly you can see it. Amber started to run. You can see that I am really able to get very decent footage. So that's, I think, detail to know. One more example of stabilization. Let's see 3 different shots taken with either off or on or enhanced version of the stabilization. So that would be when I turn it off and you can see that it's really shaky and well, you can see every step in the footage. That second one would be the default one, which is turned on, and it's much better. Of course, it's get cropped as you've seen, and that the third version is the version I was trying on the dog, so it's the enhanced. And then you can do pretty much anything you want and you can still get quite decent shots, quite decently stabilized video. And that is footage I'm extremely proud of because that is the Fire Salamander and I was really lucky to see it in the wild nature. And unfortunately, it was just a couple of seconds and I did not have the stabilization turned on. So the only thing I was able to do was to change the lenses, and this is shot with the 50mm lens. And yes, I mean, these are really amazing shots. I really love them, but I really was there just for a couple of seconds because I did not want to disturb that amazing animal. Now I suggest we have a brief look at the basic controls, and you will not be surprised what you have here. You can either use fully automatic mode or use all these traditional modes. I was most of the time using movie aperture priority. Then you have all these settings connected to focusing and subject detection. Again, it's nothing really new, but it really helps. What you should not forget is to carefully study the options of recording size. For that review, I was using 4K with 30 frames per second. If you turn on full HD, your options would be much bigger. You can use up to 120 frames. If you want to shock your friends by that extremely wide angle, you are able to do it. But again, I probably will not, so let's turn it off. And just to calm you down, if you are a photographer and you are considering this camera, yes, of course, you are able very easily to work with a very traditional way of shooting, way of settings. And do not forget, you are able to turn on pretty much any traditional shooting mode you love. What is extremely important is this setting, this button color. What it does is that you are, as we've seen, using the picture style. It means it's just predefined. And then you have two more options. You are able to turn on color filters. You have some predefined styles, predefined options, how your pictures might look. It's right here. But what you definitely need to test is something which is called custom picture. And to put it simple, this is the way how to turn on logs. So if I now select this option, I am able to activate the C2 option Canon log 3. Now I am recording a log file which looks terrible here, but once we edit it in a professional tool, you are able to get amazing results and play with the file much more. And now we are entering quite disorganized and maybe even chaotic part of the video, because as you have noticed, I've recorded really a lot of shots. You've seen many of them, you've seen probably the best ones, but still there's so many others. So I just decided in that part of the review to show you in, well, sort of disorganized order, so you have a chance to get some your own impressions. I have to admit, I am not really good at assessing the video quality, so I'm really happy to leave it to you. What I can say though is that that sort of camera is useful, really useful for people like me who just want to create content in a, well, very effective way. Let me just know that all these shots were recorded at 4K in 30 frames per second. And now finally let me enter territory which is quite familiar for me, and it's still photography. Of course, we pointed out that that camera is primarily aiming at videographers, but still we are able to use it for still photography, and I'm really convinced that the results are nice, as you can see from these shots taken in the spring in the mountains of Moravia. And some examples of greenery and beautiful clouds, and of course I was quite lucky to get that conditions. But again, well, even if you go to the garden when there is no direct sunlight right here, you can feel that you get these, I would say, traditional Canon's colors and Canon's feel. So I definitely liked it. Of course, if you would be using some more expensive lenses, the result might be even more attractive, but still, given the fact that it's not really expensive camera, I was quite satisfied with what I got. Some more flowers in the house, and of course everything is blooming in the spring, so I was tempted to take as many shots like that as I could. And we've already seen these shots. These are from the depths of the mountains and from the moments I was experimenting with the remote control, and these are the results. Really quite useful way of taking attractive shots. And some more spring colors and remote control, and let's see that bit of forest and beautiful flowers and nice light. I have to apologize that I'm really quick and you don't really have enough time to study all of these shots, but basically what I am trying to achieve is that you got sort of impression of what to expect from that camera. Some more details, and I suggest for the final moment we can return back to the top of the mountains, to the beautiful mountain range here in Moravia. And that is the spot we started a couple of minutes ago. So thank you so much for watching to the final shots of that video. And I hope I gave you some inspiration. So take care. I am Jan from Prague, the Czech Republic.